My name's Connie Lynn, and welcome to my channel, Chippewa Sister Soaps. Now, I live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so I have a whole lot of resources in order to go out and have fun, like gather sap from the maple trees and make maple syrup, and I like to beadwork, I like to knit, but one of the things that I really got an interest in, thanks to my girlfriend Cassie Kibble, one of the things that I really got an interest in was making soap. But when I first got an interest in making soap, I didn't have all the big equipment that you needed, and I did a whole lot of research to find out what I could use with what I had at home. So I did some of that research, and I'm going to pass that along to you. So one of the things I want to talk about today is the natural colorants that you can use in your soap right at home. So there's things like in your cabinet that you have, like paprika. Makes a really nice rust orange kind of colored soap. If you want to get like a earthy green, you can use some finely ground sage, some activated charcoal. Makes a really nice soap. You see that in a lot of bath products, so that's got its own properties that are really good for your skin. Turmeric makes a beautiful golden color, which we're going to see today. Hopefully, I can't guarantee it. And then baking cocoa. Now, baking cocoa I really like it. Just because you decide, okay, I don't have all the fancy colorants and that, but I want to make something really pretty. I'm going to give you an example of some soap that I made that was plain, just made with baking cocoa. Now, right back here, as you can see, that's a plain soap, and there's the tops of it that I made the little toppers of it with cocoa. There's no other coloring in there. And then what I plan to do is I made some extra little embeds, and I plan on taking those right in the front. And there, that's just completely done natural. You don't need to use fancy colors if you don't have those at home. And then you think, okay, after I've got my plan for my colorant, well, now what am I going to do for a soap mold? I don't have a soap mold. Well, that's not a problem. Here's my very first soap mold. This is a commodity cheese box. So this is what you get the government cheese in. We call them commods up here. But so all I simply did was line that with parchment paper, and that's what I made my first bars of soap out of. So you don't need any of the fancy equipment. Actually, I think that this makes a better mold than some of the silicone molds that I have. I like this much better. So then I graduated up to like the silicone mold with the not graduated. I got this, but as you can see right here, so when I put my designs in the top, which we'll get more into that later, but when I put my designs in the top, I know exactly where that bar is going to be cut, so I can decorate that soap accordingly. So I'm going to show you some examples of like soap. Sometimes when I decided to go ahead and buy a cheap pack of micas from Amazon, it was only $6 and something. I'll try to put a link down below. If I can't, I can't, because I'm not that computer savvy. But I want to show you some examples of some more soaps. This is a soap here. I just used the charcoal in it. And that's what I used and then I sprinkled the top with some Epsom salts. So, and then right here are a couple of plain bars that I did. But what I did was I made the tops decorative, so you can make a plain soap look really pretty too. You don't have to put any colorants in it if you don't want to, any artificial colorants. Not that there's anything wrong with it. And I'll give you another example. Here's some cocoa. I used cocoa for a base. This was my first attempt at making a soap with an embed. As you can see, I used a plastic straw and a little piece of a circle there for I think it's a marshmallow shake. Let's just call it that. So that's one of the first soaps that I tried to do with coloring, with natural coloring. Then I moved on, and I also make soaps. As you can see, the cocoa, you can't get a better color for a cocoa color or a chocolate color than using the actual thing. So I use this. This is a combination of some white soap, and I put a little bit of pink coloring in there. I call this Peppermint Passion. Smells so good. I wish you could smell it. You can smell it down here. And then this is another soap. This is sweetgrass scented. And I use the charcoal in there as for natural colorants. I find those to be the two best colorants that you can use for that. The blacks, the charcoal's great. And I just put some embeds on top. So, after you've decided on your colorants and your mold, and I gave you that recipe yesterday, see in video 1, make sure you go back, soap with what you have at home. So after you've molded your soap and you get it all done, one of the most, it's such a it's so exciting the first time. I remember my first soap that I took out of my commodity cheese box. I was so excited. Now this one is the turmeric ginger soap that we made together the other day. On my first video, I guess I have to quit referring to it the other day. But that is one of the most satisfying feelings, is taking that soap and unmolding it. Look at that. Wow, just look at that. I'm gonna toss that over there. Now we're gonna go ahead and slice this. A lot of times I like to wait for a couple of days, but that bar is really nice and firm, and I feel comfortable with it. At least take one slice off of it to see what it looks like. I can't wait. So we're going to take one. Now I like to take a smaller slice off the end so that I can get some better slices throughout it. So let's slice this. Let's slice into this and see what it looks like. Are you ready for this? I am. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Let's see what this looks like. We're going to take a couple slices off of this one. Now that is the turmeric and ginger bar. Now it changes after we get it sliced up here, it still has to cure for 4 to 6 weeks. Let's take one more slice just so that we can check it out. I'll set that over there. Oops. You know, I'm going to show a different. Now, since that's such a rustic bar, I almost think you've got 2 different slices. Now, as you see here, I've got this miter box. I've got this miter box that I borrowed from my husband's garage. And when I make a soap that has a design in the inside, I want to cut it nice and flat. But when you do something that's a little more rustic looking, that you really don't have to show off the inside, you'd want to use one of these cutters, the crinkle cut, and I'll demonstrate that. And that makes a nice crinkle cut there. That's nice. Now you don't have to use the miter. You can just hand cut them, you know, just wherever. But that just makes it really nice and gives a nice texture to the soap. And makes it look really neat. I'll let this one, I'll go ahead and let this one cure a little bit harder before I cut it. So now that we're talking about what soaps to cut how, let me talk about that a little bit now that we're talking about colorings. Once you get involved in doing more colorings and more techniques, you can do a lot of fun projects like do some fancy swirls, and we'll get into this more. I'll show you how to put those embeds in there and get that design all the way through, and then put some designs on the top. This is my hippie days soap. Peace sign, back from my hippie days. Just in case you're wondering who's the musician in the family, well, that would be me. We also play music. So with this, I want this to have a nice, very nice straight edge. So with this soap, I definitely line it up and then cut straight down. And that is my hippie day soap. So before you know it, after a little practice, it didn't take me long to get to that point. With a little bit of practice, you can learn how to do this as well. It's not hard. Here's another soap I want to slice for you. Now see, this is a rustic salt bar. This is just something that I made that was real rustic, that I wanted to give the feeling of rustic soap, but still have a shabby chic feeling. So they're the rustic salt bars. And I thought that they would look the best if they were done with the crinkle cut. And I'll show you one of those after, because this is just one side. Let me get this over here and cut this. There, that's nice. This is a rustic salt bar. I put a little bit of glitter on top. So see, you can even take something that's just an old rustic feel to a soap, but a lot of people really like that look. So just because you don't have all the fancy molds and all the fancy equipment at your disposal right now, you can get into making soap. Soap, this year, I gave soap away for gifts. I even went to a couple of vending shows and sold some soap. And actually my rustic bars were real popular. So I'm real happy to share with you how to do those rustic looking soaps and how to use the ingredients that you have in your house and how to put that all together. And eventually we'll work together where when you decide if you really like this or not, you can order some mica powders and mix those up, and we'll go through that together. Or some glitters on the top. Because when you get done making your soap batter, when your batter's still wet, that's the time you can take to add really fun stuff. Like you can add the wildflower Himalayan bath salts, or whatever kind of bath salts you have, or even just Epsom salt, just plain Epsom salt. Or maybe if you go into the kitchen cabinet and you find some Himalayan pink salt and you can just sprinkle it over to one side, that'd look really pretty too. I mean, there's just a whole lot of things you can do with this. So, and then you can get more advanced after you get going. This is how I did you can just make you a nice swirl on the outside with colors. Make you a nice swirl, and if you notice, I'll show you how to do that. There's no big, it's not It's not difficult. It's fun to do. And you can personalize your Christmas gifts to whoever you want. Or maybe you want to start making soap too. So, I hope you learned something here. I hope I gave you a little bit of information. One more thing. that's always, I always say that. One more thing. Like if you want to, you don't have to just do it with your colors to make your soaps different. You can do it with the additions of like some green clay or some pink clay or oatmeal or the milk, like we said. And then also, when you mix your lye water up, I've always had incorporating things like green tea. Using green tea, I make some green tea with some distilled water and mix that in place of my water, or I'll use coffee or beer. I've used beer too. Well, I saved a little bit. I didn't drink it all, but I've used beer. There's all kinds of things that you can use in order to make your own soap recipe with things that you have at home. So thanks for coming to my channel. I'll be back soon with something interesting. We'll learn some new techniques. We'll go on adventures. I live in the upper peninsula of Michigan in Sault Ste. Marie. Please comment down below. Let me know where you're from and how long you've been soaping and what's your favorite kind of soap to make. And then let me know what's your favorite scent and maybe we'll make a soap with that. All right? Thanks a lot. Bye.